All right, the time has come. Donald Trump is officially returning to the White House after surviving 2 impeachments, 2 assassination attempts, a number of lawsuits, and a number of other investigations, and being granted immunity, presidential immunity, by the United States Supreme Court. Trump is officially back in the White House, and already things are looking a little crazy, to say the least. Now, for Trump, winning the presidency was an absolute must, not necessarily because of his political ambitions, but more as a form of self-preservation. As many of you will already know, a unanimous jury found Trump guilty of 34 felony accounts in the New York hush money case, which included falsifying business records and all that good stuff, which of course in of itself is nothing new for Trump and his organization, because the Trump administration actually back in 2002 was actually also found guilty for the same thing, falsifying documents, and also committing tax fraud, criminal tax fraud. Not that there's a big difference between tax fraud and criminal tax fraud, but you get what I'm saying. Now, obviously, committing white-collar crimes, such as falsifying business documents, is just kind of business as usual when you have boatloads of money. But Trump was also under investigation by the Department of Justice, headed by Jack Smith, for his involvement in January 6th. Those charges, of course, have already been dropped, since the DOJ has a policy of not indicting and or going after a sitting president. So all of that is pretty much squashed. Unlike the classified documents case, which was squashed previously last year, thanks to Judge Cannon. The classified documents case, of course, being where Trump held a shit ton of sensitive classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, completely unsecured, where just pretty much anyone could potentially have access to it. He was asked multiple times to give it back, and then eventually they had to be taken back by force. And there's absolutely nothing strange or concerning about that at all. Anyways, that case was dropped thanks to Judge Cannon, so thanks, Judge Cannon. Thanks a lot. Because that was definitely the most clear-cut case of wrongdoing out of pretty much all of these investigations, if you ask me. And again, it was squashed. So that's of course why Trump needed to win the presidency, because otherwise he would still be held liable for all these lawsuits, all these investigations. But now that he's president, all of that more or less dissolves into thin air. Speaking of thin air, my furnace is turning on because it's like -6 degrees, so god damn it. So now that all of those lawsuits and investigations are effectively dead in the water, now there's no real need to reminisce on all of that, because that was then, and this is now. Upon his return to the White House, Trump made a number of campaign promises, such as ending the Russian-Ukraine war on day 1, or conducting mass deportations across the country, or, to use his favorite word, the most beautiful word in the dictionary, putting tariffs on multiple countries in order to help our trade deficit. But of course those tariffs would also go to some of our allies. So I guess we will see how that goes. But perhaps most unsettling of all is that Trump will potentially be seeking retribution for his political enemies. The so-called enemies from within, aka people who have crossed him politically, or tried to hold him accountable for January 6th, or in some cases, people that just said something bad about him. Yes, ego can be quite fickle at times. Wanting to enact political retribution for your enemies is of course completely normal behavior for a United States president. So again, I guess we will see how that goes. Now, this new administration will be significantly different from the previous Trump administration, as he has, of course, staffed his cabinet with loyalists. Matter of fact, Fox News will have 19 former employees at time of filming taking positions within the Trump administration. Gee, I wonder what kind of coverage that'll be getting. We also have a few off-the-wall cabinet picks this time around, like Pete Hegseth, who is nominated for Secretary of Defense. Hegseth, of course, has a number of problems with him, and watching his testimony in front of the Senate, I'm not so convinced that he's the best guy for the job. But again, at time of filming, I'm actually not sure who is confirmed and who's not confirmed, so I guess we'll see if he actually gets it. Still, not looking very good. Then we have Kash Patel nominated for FBI Director. Kash Patel, of course, being the guy who wrote a children's book all about Donald Trump. Yeah, there's definitely nothing cult-like about that. Next, we have Tulsi Gabbard, who was nominated for the Director of National Intelligence, which is hilarious because Gabbard herself has no intelligence background, which you would think in of itself might be disqualifying, or at least you could find someone who actually has experience in the field who might be more deserving of the title. She also has a bad habit of pushing Kremlin talking points, along with her admiration for Assad, the former dictator of Syria. Yep, just another totally normal cabinet pick. Then of course you have RFK Jr. for the Department of Health, which we don't really need to get into too much, I don't think. There might actually be like 5% good that comes out of that, but only time will tell. Only time will tell for a lot of things, unfortunately. We might also see the birth of the Department of Government Efficiency, aka Doge, a name based off of a meme coin, headed by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, which of course the note that I had written about this is actually already defunct because Vivek has already quit the Department of Government Efficiency. Already. Day one. He's out. The first casualty of the Trump administration. I think the first Trump administration actually holds the record for the most cabinet members who left the administration. So I guess we're really just going to see if Trump Part 2 can beat his own high score. But Elon Musk will actually have his own video coming soon, so we will save a lot of talk about him for that specifically, though it does appear that he gave a Nazi salute at the Trump inauguration, so that's fun. And of course, maybe isn't all that surprising when he's already supporting the far-right party in Germany, the AfD. But yeah, fun stuff. Now, Trump himself, of course, is very transactional, so you're already seeing people who are flattering him, trying to make inroads with him, one as a smart business decision, but also as a way of negating potential damage, I guess whether we're talking about companies or countries. You already have a line of billionaire tech CEOs lining up to kiss the ring. You have Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Apple, Google. I think even Sam Altman has said some favorable stuff. I think. You even have the CEO of TikTok, which it turns out that the whole TikTok ban just turned out to be a huge PR stunt. What a crock of shit and a complete waste of time. And of course, Mark Zuckerberg himself has implemented a number of changes to Meta, including the disintegration of fact checkers in favor of community notes. All of this just because Trump literally threatened him in a Truth Social post. So that's worth noting, I guess. But all of this comes at a very precarious time where, as Ian Bremmer puts it, the world is undergoing a geopolitical recession. There is an absence of global leadership. Ian Bremmer has a fantastic video on this subject. I will link it down below. But basically, as Ian Bremmer puts it, the United States is still in a very strong global position. We have the strongest economy, we have the strongest military, we're still the world's reserve currency, and of course we're still a technological powerhouse. So we're definitely in a very strong position when compared to adversaries or allies alike. We definitely handled the pandemic better than most countries, and even though inflation was a global phenomenon, we recovered faster than a lot of countries. So we definitely have a lot going for us currently. But now in this sort of global power vacuum, again this geopolitical recession, the United States can still kind of do what it wants, or it has the power to do so. You have China, who's undergoing a bunch of economical turmoil. You have Russia and Iran, who are both slowly waning in power. And you have the disintegration of a lot of allied countries like Canada, South Korea, France, and Germany, where again, we just don't have a strong global leadership. And for better or worse, going forward, Trump is going to have a lot of sway over these countries, especially considering that he has consolidated power within the United States government. So of course, as always, it'll be very interesting to see just how things progress, again, for better or worse. Personally, if you ask me, I mean, it's not looking great, but what can you do, I guess, besides maybe listen to, I don't know, a little bit of music. Speaking of music, there's a whole bunch of songs that I thought we might cover, but we don't really have the time to do a deep dive into them. Kendrick Lamar has a few songs about Trump, or YG and Nipsey Hussle have the song FTD. I'm sure you can figure out what FTD stands for. Low Key also has a song about Donald Trump, Mac Donald Trump. But the main song that I want to put a spotlight on is actually from Immortal Technique, Rich Man's World, because I think this song really encompasses just the potential oligarchy that the United States is becoming, and or sort of always has been. A government of the rich, by the rich, for the rich. And this song really does a great job of highlighting the disparities between a normal citizen and someone who just has a shit ton of money. And again, with all the billionaires that have now encircled Trump, we are definitely living in a rich man's world. So yeah, I'll definitely link that down below. My furnace is about to kick on again. But yeah, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video, for whatever this video actually was. Just my rough thoughts on Trump returning to the White House. We will cover more of this as time goes on, I guess, or at least as it becomes relevant. And definitely let me know if there's a song that comes to mind as Trump returns to the White House. And of course, as always, let me know if there's an album on the wall that you would like to see me review next. And until then, guys, be safe, take care, and we will see you on the next video. Later.